If you really want to hurt a manipulator, if your ex was toxic, if your ex tried to damage you and you really want to hurt him, show him that he don't run no more. I'm gonna watch my mouth because I'm gonna hurt some chest tonight. Show him that he don't run nothing no more. Show him he ain't got no more control. Show him he ain't got no more consideration. He ain't got no more authority. Show him he ain't got no more impact. You see, a lot of women be getting it all twisted. Y'all think you go bust the windows out his car, make him lose his job. That's going to rattle a man that tried to ruin you, that tried to hurt you. That's going to be revenge. Let me tell you something. One of the most instant ways you can get revenge, see revenge, is by letting a man know he ain't got no more control over you. He don't run nothing. He don't get a reaction. He don't get an emotional rise. He can't get a reply. And I'm not saying just no contact. Of course, we understand no contact is very powerful. It protects your peace. It's not, you don't go no contact to teach a man a lesson. You go no contact because you finally learned yours. I absolutely believe that. I've been saying it for years. However, I'm going to add something to that. Not necessarily a quotable, but in addition to going no contact, you can go no access. And that don't mean that you don't literally say a word to this man, because if y'all got a co-parent, you got to do what you got to do. But if he has no access to the emotionally vulnerable part of you, to your personality, to you giving any damn about how he feels about anything whatsoever, you respond whenever you want to. If y'all got to deal with the kids or something like that, you respond in short, you respond plain Jane, you respond with no nothing. Ignore certain parts of the message. Like, I'm not saying do this strictly to antagonize a man. I'm not saying that. I'm letting you know, for the woman that's ever been played with, toyed with, anything like that, and it feels like, man, what's going to make him feel it? What's going to make him see that he hurt me? How does he keep getting away with this? It's not fair. It's not fair. I'm not saying this is going to be the karma. First off, I would say let God do your job. When it comes to revenge, you ain't gotta do nothing. Good women don't have to get he gonna always spin the block for y'all. But if you really want that man chest to hurt, show him he don't run nothing no more. I say that because earlier we talked about ways to recognize if a man is controlling, right? And of course, those of you who watched in free masterclass after that, all the way through to the end, I allow you to submit questions, feedback, all that kind of stuff. And I read every single one of them, not my team, me. Well, one of the questions I got from a young lady who watched the masterclass, the 7 traps an empath should never ignore, is, okay, so I recognize a controlling man. What if I'm already with one? And I want to take that control from him. I'm scared. I'm this, that, and the other. Now, you do have situations, and I'm not trying to say like, hey, if he's abusive or dangerous, do whatever you want to do. I'm not saying that whatsoever. However, I absolutely do believe he should be held accountable. Don't ever stay somewhere just because somebody claiming that they're making you fearful. They ain't stopped making guns whenever he got his or whatever. But that's a different conversation. What I gave her, because she was scared more so of if he was going to move on, if he was going to do this, if he was going to do that, if he was going to attack her. And I told her like this. First off, there's several things. Let's say 4, maybe 5 things that you can expect from a man whenever you show him that he don't have no more control. The first thing he's going to do is antagonize. Okay? So I'm letting her know, just like I'm letting y'all know, if you ever been with a man and he was controlling, manipulative, if he was unfair, biased, whatever it was. And like I said, the best thing you can do, one of the most instant ways you can see the hurt on his face, is when he comes back for that access, he comes back for that control, and he realizes there's none there. What you can expect from that man, I'm not saying this is in the order, but he's going to antagonize, he's going to insult, he's going to try and blame you for the reason that the relationship ended. He's going to try and pit whoever he can against you. And that's a whole different part of this. But basically, he's going to try to get under your skin. If he can get a reaction, if he can get you to get crazy, if he can get you in a crying fit, if he can get you to defend yourself, if he can get you to try to clear things up, any way that he can antagonize, this is what you can expect. He's going to do it. He spent whatever time y'all spent together. Y'all was in a relationship. He said, I got control. I roll switch. Exactly. Y'all was in a relationship. He knows all the buttons to push. He knows what bothers you. He knows what your worst fears are. He knows what you don't want, right? So now you can expect him to try and antagonize you. Because he's in such a negative space, it's only going to soothe him if he can see that you're also in a negative space. Negative still equals invested. And this is why I said one of the ways you can make that man chest hurt, one who is trying to control you, is to show him he don't control nothing, he don't run nothing, he ain't got no more access to you. Not on an emotionally vulnerable part. So if you have kids together, this is where the gray rocking comes into play. This is where the I don't care what you're talking about. If it ain't about them kids, I really don't want to hear. Even if it is about them kids, it's still gonna happen between certain boundaries. You still can't text me or call me any time of the day or night. I'm still not responding to things that aren't critical to them being taken care of. Like, you still don't get to do whatever you want just because you're talking about the kids. Some of my parents out there, y'all know what I'm talking about when I say that. But expect him to antagonize. Expect him to love bomb. Expect him to love bomb. Expect him to try and access all of the things that you were asking him to do a long time ago, from romance to written poetry or letters to whatever considerations. Expect him to love bomb. Y'all be thinking love bomb just happens, whenever a man first gets into a relationship, when he's just trying to date you and, trying to impress you. No, love bombing happens anytime a man wants to raise your emotional state so it overrides your common sense. Love bombing, and for those who don't know what love bombing is basically some extreme, unsustainable level of affection expressed and shown, but strictly for manipulative purposes. So you have some men who will do the quote unquote love bombing. It's not really love bombing, but they're really going hard because they're really feeling this way for you. They love you and they want you to know it. They want you to know that they're serious. So it's a high level, even though he can't sustain it. It's not love bombing per se. It's just something he can't sustain. Now, that's a different conversation. We're going to get to that. But when a man is love bombing, in terms of the context of the word, he's trying to hook you. He's trying to sink his claws into you. He's trying to give you some type of experience that you're going to be so attached to that the moment that he even threatens to pull it away from you, you're going to jump into action. You're going to be obedient. You're going to come into compliance. That's what love bombing is in a nutshell. And so what you see from love bombers is what they'll do this, and then, like, again, like night and day, a completely different character shows up. You have men who are inconsistent, and then you have men who will turn. I'm talking about they whether or not they're even a good man will completely change. That's when you know this man was love bombing. He ain't just fall off. He ain't just get comfortable. He ain't get complacent. A lot of men do that, right? But the malicious element of it is, whenever he's not even that person, you could tell he didn't mean any of it. And when the man realizes that he does not have control over you, he's going to try to love bomb you. And I'm saying that only because if his whole MO was getting control over you to begin with, that's a problem. If his whole MO was not fairness, not mutuality, not let me add value to her from an authentic place because I've worked on myself and I love her and this is just a reflection of that love, but let me simply do something in order to get her so attached, she'll detach from her morals, her standards, her goals, her boundaries. Let me do this strictly for this reason. Y'all ever stop rocking with a dude, mentally checked out of a relationship, or physically completely left the dude, and then all of a sudden, like night and day, he switched into this knight in white shining armor. All of a sudden, he had emotional intelligence. All of a sudden, you were a priority. All of a sudden, he was a romantic. All of a sudden, he was clear on what he wanted for the future, and it was with you and nobody but you. Put I down in the chat if you've ever been there. Put I down in the chat if you've ever been there. I want to know if I'm talking to anybody. If you've ever been there, put I down in the chat so I know. Yeah, I'm your big brother. I ain't gonna do nothing but tell you the truth. I tell you a joke, I never tell you a lie. I tell you a joke, I never tell you a lie. So good. I know I'm talking to somebody here. So that's the love bombing. It's strictly for manipulative purposes only. Things and objects in the mirror may be bigger than what they appear. All of these romantic gestures are absolutely a facade, and they're much bigger than the heart that it claims to come from. It's strictly acts. Okay. So whenever a man realizes, and not just any man, again, I'm speaking specifically to the manipulative, controlling dude who don't feel secure in a relationship unless he feels like he's in the upper end of the power dynamic that never should have been a power dynamic because y'all was supposed to be a team. But if you got a guy who is controlling, just like I told a young lady who watched the masterclass, you can expect a couple reactions from him once you pull that control away. And it's all from a place of hurt. This is a way to piss a man off. I'm talking about like nothing else. Another type of, and it's similar to love bombing, but I'm not going to call it that. Another type of reaction, and it's very similar. He'll trauma dump on you. Y'all ever seen a dude get caught up and all of a sudden he misses grandmama? Y'all ever had a dude that you caught up in some mess, you finally left him, and then all of a sudden here come all of his childhood trauma that he's ever been through and he ain't processed yet, and he wasn't sure how to deal with, and he just didn't know how he would move through it, so he was scared, and that's what he did, but he realizes it now and he wants another chance to waste your time again. Y'all ever had that happen? Y'all ever had that happen? Says trying to change the way that you dress, also controlling. So I talked about the signs that a man is controlling. I can't even see your name. It's like something okay. But to the sister that asked that, no, not automatically. If you came in dressed in a certain way and he pretended to be cool with it, and then after he love bombed you, after he got you invested, then try to shift things around, then it's controlling. But if during a relationship you weren't dressing like this at the beginning, but during a relationship you started wearing some risque stuff, and he says, "Whoa, that ain't what I came into. That's your standards." I'm not one of those that say everything that you don't like about a man telling you something is controlling. No, there's a very specific context to when a man is controlling. It's important that you discern between the two, because I don't want you losing a good man who loves you so much and loves himself that he's going to state where he stands with things. I don't want you to do that. Okay, but I also don't want you to let anybody just play in your face and try to change you at your core when this is how you came into the relationship and they played like it was cool to get what they wanted. And now that they got it, he trying to go and shift things around. We ain't doing that. But back to the subject at hand. Expect a man to trauma dump. He loses control over you, especially if you are an empath. This is why my heart goes out to y'all, because there's so many ways that a man will try to trap you. This ain't even one of the main ones. There's 7 traps, empaths. You gotta learn. You gotta learn the red flags before you jump into them. Because this is how y'all get your heart broken. And if you're an empath, your heart don't heal easily. The bigger your heart, the more of it is to put back together once it's broken. So y'all, more than anybody else, you got to recognize the red flags of traps that are set for you. But if you're an empath, expect the man to trauma dump. Expect him to start bringing up all of the stuff his daddy did to his mama in front of him, all of the stuff that happened when he was 2 years old, all of that. He will trauma dump on you. Again, it's very similar to love bombing, but it's kind of like he's trying to connect. He's trying to relate to you at the painful level that you've expressed to him, the things that you've been through. He's trying to relate to you. But again, it's a very acute reaction. It's not a response in form of, hey, I want to be a better man. It's strictly, I want you back over here with the exact same version of me that hurt you before. I'm hoping I'm connecting with somebody. If this is helpful to you, put me. If you watching this right now, you watching this, if this is helpful to you, put me. I want to know if I'm helping anybody. Not if you just hear me, but if I'm helping you. Because I want to give y'all the mind of a man, especially one who's so low in terms of the version of himself that he only knows love when it comes with control. And this is what happens whenever you snatch that away. Another thing that he's going to do, and be ready for this, smear campaign. I'm not going to stay on this one too long because I've talked about this before. Good. I know I'm talking to somebody. Smear campaign. Y'all be thinking smear campaign is just him saying, oh, Jane Doe is a bad person. That's not smear campaigning. Smear campaigning is she was crazy. Smear campaigning is she came in unhealed from her last relationship, acting like I was him. Smear campaigning is, she act like she got to have a millionaire. She be looking at Instagram relationships and try to hold me to that, but she didn't appreciate me as a good man bringing home the bacon. Smear campaigning is half truths. Smear campaigning is using whatever things you might have done wrong, but painting the picture as if he's just the victim and he didn't play no part in the things that went wrong in a relationship. Smear campaigning is trying to leverage anybody with an open ear, which first off, you should invalidate them anyway, but anybody with an open ear to help him spread the BS narrative about you. Smear campaigning is subliminals on his social media constantly to try and imply that you played a certain part in that relationship that you didn't play, or at least that you didn't play by yourself. Smear campaign, like you just said, Lacey, dragging you and your name through the mud. Oh yeah. Anything to agitate you, to hurt your reputation, to attack your character, to get you again to defending yourself, clearing things up, anything to get a reaction out of you. or to get other people to stop rocking with you. If he can't hurt you from the inside, he gonna try to hurt you some other kind of way because he's hurting. Again, we're talking about when a man who thrives off of control finally loses control. I'm not talking about you busting his windows and ripping up and burning his clothes or anything like that. Not withholding his children. Please don't do that. Sisters, please don't do that. I know y'all listening probably ain't doing that, but somebody that you know might be. But I'm talking about whenever you treated that man like he was on a throne. You gave him everything and he treated you like he was beneath his foot. You gave him everything, the best of you, the vulnerable you, the honest, transparent you, the loyalty. You gave him everything. He wanted something you might not even good at it or felt like doing it, but you did it anyway because you loved him. When a man experiences that and then that gets taken away, rightfully so, finally, at the multiple chances, where those multiple chances really just enabled his delulu that you was never going to stop. That's you thought the multiple chances was giving him an opportunity to change and be better and grow. No, the multiple chances was just convincing him they would never run out. That's all that did. And then boom, one day you wake up to yourself, you remember who you are. You get a hold of my videos or books, or you get a hold of somebody else's videos, books, podcasts. God speak to you. Somehow, some way, something wakes you up and you snatch away that control. Whoa, that chest gonna hurt. And this leads me to number 5. The 5th thing that's gonna happen whenever you take that control back from that manipulator, from that man who thrived off control. And this is like a hopeless state he'll be in, but he'll lurk. He'll linger around. He'll linger around your social media. He'll linger around your job. He'll linger around the gym. Wherever you go, he's going to find a way to frequent those places. He's going to try to pop up and stay on your radar somehow. He's going to like a photo here. He's going to send a happy birthday, Merry Christmas. Oh, this would have been our anniversary. He's going to do a congratulations. He's going to find a way to lurk and linger around to maintain a presence on your conscious, your subconscious. To keep you from completely icing him out, he's going to try and wait for that one opportunity. The Bible has something in it, and I'm never claiming to be the most religious, although I'm a Bible believing, God following man. But basically, when you get demons out, they're going to come back and look for that one moment that you're vulnerable. You make that house vacant of demons, they're going to look back for that one moment where that door might be open, where the new dude messes up, where somebody in your family has passed away, some death anniversary that he knows about, where you're typically very emotional. Something happens or something good happens in your life, and he wants to just throw in a little bit of praise because he knows that typically he wasn't affirming you. He didn't make you feel like anything that you did was valid or good enough. So here's his opportunity to try to make you feel seen. Oh yeah. That's him lingering, lurking, and that's what he's lurking for. He's going to stay in the mix somehow. So it may be a fake page, it may be new phone numbers, it may be all of that. Again, the best thing that you can do, and this is not just to make him feel it, this going to make him feel it, but to really protect you. So you never have to feel the embarrassment, the humiliation, the heartbrokenness, the isolation that you felt whenever you was with that man. The best thing you can do is keep those boundaries. Take back control, and don't just take back control and give it anywhere, because you can take back control and give it to work. You can take back control and give it to the new guy. You can take back control and give it to anything. Take back control and give it to yourself. And again, I'm really talking to empaths because nobody's ever taught y'all how to fend for yourselves. You've had to fend for everybody else. If you're an empath, you've grown up and now you've gotten so good at it, almost like a sixth sense, like a second nature. You can tell when something's wrong with somebody else. I want you, if you are a woman, if you are an empath, to take back control and give it to you. Prioritize you. Be willing to let people down. Be willing to leave people broken whenever you find them broken. Yes, there's something in you that was hurting and needed somebody to be there for you, but everybody ain't you, empath. Dear empath, I'm talking to you. Everybody ain't you. Somebody found you in the lowest point of your life. Guess what? You would have loved on them, appreciated them, been loyal to them, did anything to repay that debt that really ain't no debt. But everybody ain't you. You got some people you find wounded and broken, and you try to help them, and then they just try to bite you and they try to hurt you. Broken people break people. Hurt people hurt people. Generally speaking, if you're an empath, that's a whole different story. I know that's not how you move. But this is where you got to be very careful. And I talk about this in my masterclass, the free one. Yes, I have paid programs. I get paid to speak all over the country, but I give y'all so much game for free because I really want y'all to know. I believe an informed woman who's free of shame is the enemy's biggest threat, because the enemy loves a woman who's inherited shame and shame ridden for things she don't deserve. The enemy loves a pride driven, ego driven, ignorant male. And the enemy is the one that is against the family structure being cohesive. I've personally and professionally experienced the damage that comes from not being aware of the enemy's devices. So that's why I do what I do. That's why I make content for people. Some people got the money to invest, some people don't. This is for y'all, whether you got it to invest or not, especially you empaths out there. If you're an empath, I'm not going to go too far in depth here, but click the link that's pinned down here at the bottom. That'll take you to my free masterclass, 7 Traps an Empath Should Never Ignore. That's going to equip you with all the games specific to you empaths out there so that you don't get caught in these traps that are dysregulating your central nervous system, that's taking your peace, that's taking your belief that there's any kind of man out there who's really safe to love, that's got you held up, still ruminating and thinking about how the last guy could have done you the way that he did you. Only a person with no heart could have done something so crazy. And it seemed like you just can't break free or stay free and open yourself up to somebody else. You can. You just got to know the red flags that lead to those traps. That's going to give you the confidence and the clarity to move with leverage in a dating scene so you can get what you deserve, not just what you'll take. Hope that's making sense to somebody. But again, I broke that down for free. So, you know, if you want something different, you got to do something different. That part is on you. The link is down here in the comments. Also somewhere, I don't know where you're watching it right now. On YouTube, you might have to go to the channel description. The 7 Traps an Empath Should Never Ignore. Because I don't know if it's going to be clickable in the comments. But moral of the story is this. You want to hurt a man? Don't set fire to nothing. Don't talk bad about him. Don't give him the validation that he still got you invested in him. Don't do that. Because the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is actually apathy. And see, he got so high and drunk off that love, he really lost his mind and thought it wasn't going nowhere no matter what he did. One way to sober him up is to take that control, take that authority, take that consideration, take that regard away from him. If you got to say something to him, make sure there's zero control or authority that he still remains and has. No, none of that. My boy once said something similar. He was like, man, treat him like a stranger. That'll really hurt him. But more than you want to hurt him, you want to put yourself in a position where you get to heal you. And as your big brother, that's what I encourage you to do. But those are just my thoughts. If I was able to add value, or if I said anything that you found to be true, that you know to be true, all I ask is that you prove that you are a vessel and a believer of the truth by hitting the share button. Somewhere down there at the bottom, just hit it. Somehow in your timeline need to be blessed the same way you just got blessed. And again, if you are wanting to get the masterclass before it comes down, the 7 Traps an Empath Should Never Ignore, that link should be pinned. If you don't see it pinned on YouTube, go to the channel description. If you're watching a replay, it'll be in the description of the video. But make sure you get access to that because I don't keep these up for long. And again, it's absolutely free. 7 Traps an Empath Should Never Ignore. Holla at y'all, lady. I'll be good. Peace.